Hey guys, this is the Overthinker, and we are back with another post game review. This time we have the Rams and Eagles. Another just outstanding game. Really fun game here. Quite a lot of really interesting things coming out of this game, but I think probably the number one thing for me is definitely Jordan Davis has completely arrived as that guy who really should have been one of the first non quarterbacks taken in that draft a few years ago. He was probably the best player on the field this game, and he was completely dominant in the second half and a big part of the Eagles coming back into this game. But yeah, the Eagles were able to come back in this game after being down 26-7. And yeah, pretty much this was an insane game, a tale of two halves completely, with the Rams just being completely dominant in the first half. And now that is outside of one play in the first half. Really, this is like one of the first plays of the game. You have Matthew Stafford. I believe this was on second or third down here, but he just did not expect Zach Bond to be able to get over there and defend this pass. Bond really just came from a really far place on this one. He's like all the way on the lined up over the right guard pretty much, isn't it? And he's somehow able to get into this passing window, watching Stafford the whole way. And yeah, that was basically one of the only good plays the Eagles had in the first half. And yeah, a couple plays later, the Eagles converted on 4th and 2 with kind of a option play by Jalen Hurts, able to get up the right side for a pretty nice play. And then a 4th and 1 a few plays later, they had a tush push, which the right guard started a little early on. I would say this is one where he started a little early. And then a few plays later, they run the tush push again on the goal line. And on the goal line, it looked like it wasn't a false start on the goal line. For what it's worth, that one looked like fair play. But yeah, this one from a few plays earlier definitely looked like the right guard starts a little early on this one. You can see there just a little early, but it's definitely something that probably should have been called. And yeah, hopefully going forward they do call this when the right guard starts a little early like that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a talking point throughout the season. It was a talking point last year as well. But I feel like they're false starting a lot more this year, or maybe I'm just paying more attention to it. And yeah, next drive, you had some really nice rushing by Kyren Williams and Rams offensive line opening up some holes. Good job blocking by guys like Puka Nacua and also Whittington. Just really good job there on the edge. You had some really nice runs by Kyren Williams, and the Eagles were able to hold the Rams to a field goal on this drive with some nice coverage there on third down. And then on the Eagles' second drive, you had one of the Rams' defensive tackles completely smoking the left guard for the Eagles and getting a sack while getting held. It was actually pretty impressive. He was able to get through. The guy was like all on his back, completely had him hooked. But yeah, after that sack, the Eagles decided to run the ball on 3rd and 20, basically just conceding that drive. Then had a nice return by Xavier Smith, and then a really nice run by Blake Corum as well. And then they did a fake play action to Blake Corum after that nice run. He had like maybe a 12-yard run or something, but he had a really nice run, and then they ran a play fake to him, looking like a pretty similar play. And this was the big deep bomb to Davante Adams. Yeah, and this was one of those plays where I do feel like Davante Adams does still look like he has what it takes to be a wide receiver 1 in this league. You can just kind of see on this play, he kind of, actually on this play, you can't really get the angle, but he just kind of runs right by the safety who makes a slight false step as he kind of breaks out of the route going toward the corner, but then kind of turns it upfield. And safety, I think that was Blankenship on the play. He just looked really slow trying to keep up. Once Davante Adams took it vertical, Blankenship had no chance. But yeah, beautiful pass there by Matthew Stafford. Then on the following drive, you have the Eagles going 3 and out with a sack by Jalen McCullough, a blitzing safety. Basically, the running back didn't even see him blitzing, and he just got right through the line. And yeah, easy sack there, 3 and out. Then on the Rams' next drive, you had a 3rd and 7 pass interference call on Quinyon Mitchell working on Davante Adams. And Davante Adams was getting right by him on this route. He just kind of held him. was a pretty obvious pass interference, but this is another play where you just saw Davante Adams break to the inside, and Quinyon could not keep up. He had to hold him. And then, he had a few more nice runs this drive by Blake Corum and Kyren Williams, getting them all the way to the goal line. And then you had basically a holding call on the center, but he kind of just tackled the defensive player. It was crazy. He just wraps him around the legs and brings him down. It was just a standard tackle. But that holding call brings the Rams back where they have to kick the field goal. So definitely, you're looking at this game, that's a critical mistake, obviously. And then the Eagles had a drive start off on the 8-yard line, kind of had a return penalty, but you also had the kicker do some crazy stuff. And I really don't know how he's doing this, but somehow the Rams kicker in this game was able to do this maybe 4 or 5 times. Basically, he's able to get it to the kick returner on a hop like that, where it's just really difficult to try and field a kickoff like that, because the football is just an oddly shaped ball and it doesn't really bounce straight. It just kind of bounces in random directions almost. It's really hard to predict. So if the Rams can keep doing this, it's going to be a problem for the rest of the NFL, and I bet you there's a lot of kickers that are going to try to figure this out. But until the rest of the NFL kind of figures that out, I think Joshua Carty, the Rams kicker, is going to be kind of a elite weapon in terms of special teams. I don't really know if there's another kicker that's this good at this. And after that crazy kickoff, you had Quentin Lake with a nice deflection there on 3rd down to get the Eagles off the field. And then the Rams' next drive, they had an out route to Davante Adams where Matthew Stafford just kind of missed him. And this is as they were kind of working into the red zone. Definitely could have scored a touchdown, but Stafford just kind of missed him on this out route to the left side of the field there. And this is one of the first throws. Stafford had a few of these throws this game where he was just kind of off, especially in the second half. But this throw to Davante Adams is definitely one he wishes he would have back. And then on the Eagles' last drive of the first half, you kind of had a late block by A.J. Brown after the whistle. They kind of threw a penalty, and then basically had nowhere for Saquon Barkley to go after that. And the Rams, it was pretty obvious at this point, were in complete control of this game. They were really dominating both lines of scrimmage. The Eagles had nowhere to run the ball, and the Rams were running the ball well. It was just really, really bad all around for the Eagles. And coming out of the second half, you had the Eagles pinned in their own territory again with a crazy kick. And Jared Verse is able to get the strip sack here on the backup right tackle, Matt Pryor. Pretty critical play, because after this play, they actually took Matt Pryor out and put in Fred Johnson, who did a much better job in the second half, stopping that power rush. Jared Verse is really good with the power rush, and he just could not get through Fred Johnson with the power rush in the second half. And that was a critical part of the Eagles coming back into this game, because they needed to throw the ball. And after that strip sack, the Rams were able to go up 26-7. Basically, I felt like the game was completely over at this point. Even though I watched the replay and I knew that the Eagles had won, it was I could not believe that they somehow came back. But after that strip sack and making the adjustment at right tackle, putting in Fred Johnson, Eagles come out and hit a big play to A.J. Brown there. And then the very next play, it was Dallas Goedert over the middle, up the seam for a touchdown, a big play. And this was the point where you felt the Eagles grasp a ton of momentum. Just 2 plays there, but it really felt like the Eagles had a chance after those 2 plays, especially with the Rams continuing to have to settle for field goals. And then you had another critical play. The Eagles now start stuffing the run and force the Rams to go to 3rd down, where you have this crazy play where Matthew Stafford is trying to just scramble to get the first down, and that is the 330-pound Jordan Davis running him down on the sideline. And this is just one of the crazy plays he had in the second half there, rather. And it just gets crazier. And then the next drive for the Eagles, after hitting that touchdown, they had a 3rd and long conversion to Devontae Smith. And then you also had Kitchens come in for a hit on the defenseless receiver. I think it was a couple plays later. and it was Devontae Smith who got hit and luckily was okay. But yeah, you combine that with a couple nice runs by Saquon Barkley this drive, and then they had a 4th and 1 tush push conversion, and then an A.J. Brown touchdown 2 plays later, kind of like a back shoulder fade. He and the defender just had no chance on that play. A.J. Brown is just so big and strong, it's incredibly hard to stop him on those kinds of plays. And at this point, Rams are still winning 26-21, but that is starting to feel like not enough points, obviously. And then the Rams had to spend a timeout because Kevin Dotson had to come out of the game for an injury. And then a couple plays later, you had Puka Nacua making a crazy catch off of a tipped pass. It was like a slant route where the ball got tipped, and he had to basically pick this thing off his shoelaces. It was an insane catch. And then you had another big play by Puka Nacua in the passing game where he had a taunting penalty. Basically, he just had a nice play, and then he just kind of flexed and pointed towards the end zone. I don't know. It was really kind of weird. I didn't really understand how that was taunting, but yeah, they called that a 15-yard penalty. And then on 3rd and 1, a couple plays later, you had Stafford missing Davante Adams under pressure. And yeah, pretty tough one there. And then the very next play, they decided to go for a 4th and 1. And for this 4th and 1, they decided to waste a timeout, a valuable second half timeout. And this is something I have definitely noticed with Kyle Shanahan as well as Sean McVay. Both of them are just A-okay with wasting a timeout to change a play at the last second or to avoid a delay of game, 5-yard penalty, when sometimes you just need to take that timeout and keep it in your back pocket because you just might need it at the end there. And yeah, you could definitely say that another timeout would have helped the Rams at the end here. But yeah, anyways, after calling that timeout, they decided to come out and run the ball right up the right side. And they go right at Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Terrible decision. That's not what I would have done. I would have ran the other way. I mean, you got those two guys lined up next to each other, and you want to run right behind the right guard. That just, I don't know exactly what Sean McVay was thinking on that one, but yeah, and you also had the backup right guard in there, so for whatever that was worth, when they did that, it was just like a complete LOL moment for me, like, what are you doing? Why would you run right to where Jordan Davis is on 4th and 1? But anyways, they don't get that 4th down, and then the Eagles on the next drive, there's a nice sack there by Byron Young, who had a pretty nice game, giving them a 4th and 6, where the Eagles go for a 4th and 6, and Hurts under pressure throws it to the right side and almost throws an interception. That could have ended the game if that guy caught that potentially and returned it. But yeah, then you get a turnover on downs and a really nice run by Blake Corum, cutting it back all the way across the field. A couple plays later, getting to a 3rd and 2. You have this throw to the right side that definitely could have been caught. This is the one where Blankenship kind of breaks it up at the last second. Pretty nice play by him here, getting the hand in there. But also potentially a play that Davante Adams could have caught there in the end zone. This would have been another touchdown. But yeah, another critical play there leading to the first of 2 blocked field goals. And then after that blocked field goal, we have maybe one of the best plays of the game here by A.J. Brown. Just goes completely nuclear on this 3rd and 10. Catches this one, breaks off a tackler. And then 2 more guys, and turns this into like a 20-yard play. That's just insane. Not many guys are going to make that play. Yeah, definitely one of those holy crap moments there. And then a couple plays later, you had a 3rd and 10 again. Throw to A.J. Brown, 1-on-1, kind of like a comeback route. And then on 3rd and goal, the Rams come with a nice blitz with coverage on the backside. Could have been an interception, kind of a late throw to the flat. Definitely, for the Rams, if that defensive back had seen the ball, could have been an interception, maybe a pick 6. But then the next play, they get it to Devontae Smith on a touchdown on the out route, kind of towards the right side there. And that is where the Eagles finally take the lead, 27-26 here in the 4th quarter. Then with 41 seconds left, Matthew Stafford just misses Puka Nacua again. This one definitely could have been pass interference. He was kind of grabbed as he was coming out of the break there. And then a couple plays later, you had a contested catch situation with Puka. He just kind of throws it up. Puka almost makes the catch. Would have been a crazy one. And then you had the second blocked field goal. And again, you have Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter working together to get these blocks off. It is going to be really hard for teams to try and keep both of them from kind of collapsing the interior there and getting towards a position where they can jump up and block it. That is just a lot of power and a lot of size that is going to be hard for blockers to deal with, obviously. So yeah, it's only week 3, but it would be kind of cool if the Eagles are able to go on and block 10 to 12 field goals this season. That would be pretty insane. And yeah, a lot of people maybe have already seen this stat, but Jordan Davis on that play did reach 18.59 miles per hour. And that is just really fast. That is about as fast as most tight ends can run. So yeah, that is pretty insane for a guy who is 330 pounds, obviously. And yeah, like I said, this is the game where you look at Jordan Davis and you're like, yeah, that's the guy who should have probably been the first non-quarterback taken in that draft. He's that good. And what a crazy ending to this game, man. I mean, for Rams fans, obviously, Matthew Stafford in the second half missed a few throws that would have sealed it. Totally. You had at least one throw to Puka. You had 2 throws to Davante Adams at least. And you also had the throw where Davante Adams probably could have caught that contested catch versus Blankenship on the right side. It was a good breakup, but Davante has caught passes like that definitely in his career. And yeah, also that holding in the first half on the center where he just kind of tackled the defensive lineman, that definitely was a play that costed them as well. But overall, I think if you are a Rams fan, you got to feel pretty good about your ability to potentially beat the Eagles if you see them again in the playoffs, obviously. I think the Rams are a pretty good team, and obviously the Eagles are probably the best team in the NFL, but it does look like the Rams are a pretty good matchup. And if they do play again, I will be looking forward to watching it. And that's all I really got for you guys today. An incredible game here. Eagles somehow pull off the comeback and show that they can throw the ball if they really need to, I guess.